Hey, handsome.
Your purse. Now.
What? No! Help! You forgot to check for Uzis. Die, scum!
Bleeding to death.
Hasta la vista, baby.
I had way too much fun making this comic book. Let me show you how I did it. And wait until the end where I show you something even cooler that I made. Obviously it's just 2 pages as a test, as a proof of concept, so I can show you guys, but it was incredibly fun just making these 2 pages, and it didn't take that long. Once you get the ball rolling, once you set up everything you need to set up and you think about your strategy, it doesn't take that long to create. You could potentially have your own ideas, obviously, or ask ChatGPT to create an idea for you with points like a storyboard, and then you could apply that into this sort of comic book that you could create either in digital version and then potentially self-publish it. You can even allow for printing. A lot of people doing that as NFTs, where they sell the NFT and then they can burn the NFT for a printout, or you could just self-publish it on these sites, which I'm going to leave in the description, and you could obviously get those self-published and make money off of it. But besides that, what obstacles do we have to think about? What are the first 2 major obstacles in creating a comic book using Stable Diffusion or Midjourney for that matter? Well, the first one would be consistency of the characters. You obviously have your subjects, your characters that you're going to want to reuse in multiple scenes, and they have to look at least 90%, like their likeness has to be at least 90%, right? They need to look like each other. When it comes to keeping the same characters, we need to remember what we spoke about in 2-3 videos ago. You can see that linked in the description, where we explained that we can anchor a certain name that we make up or that we randomly generate. We can anchor that to a certain aspect, physical aspect, and then Stable Diffusion will keep that character consistent throughout your prompts. There are multiple other ways to do this. Another way would be to define your subject as multiple famous characters and then mix them. So as you can see here, we would have square brackets, and you can have multiple characters. Like in my case, I have Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt, and Tom Cruise. So what Stable Diffusion is going to do is it's going to allocate 33% of each. Your character will be 1/3 Keanu Reeves, 1/3 Brad Pitt, and 1/3 Tom Cruise, and it's gonna mix it in its own way, but it will keep it consistent throughout your prompts later on. So this was the first obstacle, which we're going to solve here. The other issue would be having the characters in certain poses doing a certain type of thing. For example, in this case, I had my guy walk with his hand on his back and bleeding. He had to look like he was hurt. This is done with ControlNet. I'm gonna assume that you already have the basic knowledge of ControlNet. If not, message me in comments and I will make a tutorial about it. What you have to do is you have to either draw the pose yourself, an open pose, and then have every picture that you produce be in that pose of that character, or you could just search for a certain pose that you're looking for and then add that to open pose, and open pose would create a template for you, which you then use in Stable Diffusion to produce this type of pose for your character. I googled shot in the back and I found multiple stock images. I screenshotted one, I loaded it into ControlNet. It gave me the template for the pose, and then obviously I did multiple iterations. He had to be wearing those exact clothes, which I also define here as a blue hoodie, gray pants, etc. Now obviously sometimes it's going to be extremely good, very close to what you need, but one detail will be off. For example, the hoodie might be black instead of blue or gray. So what you can do then is send that to InPaint, select the hoodie and write navy blue. It'll produce a navy blue hoodie. So when it's minor detail, you can always send to InPaint and fix those. Once you have those down, then it's gonna roll. You're just gonna have the scenes in your head, creating them, adding bubbles to the speech. The software I used to create the comic was Comic Live 3. Obviously you can even do that in Word. You can do that in any other software. You load your characters in there, you set it up like you want, size, etc. You put the bubble, what you want them to say, as you can see in our basic. There are times where you're going to want to have multiple characters on one image, like the one where he's pulling a bag or something like. What you're going to need for that part is the latent couple extension. What the latent couple extension allows you to do is to add 2 different characters, to add one scene and then add 2 or more different characters on separate quadrants of that image. So you could select the image and split it in half. So here you would have, first you have to remember to enable these. You enable it and then you go to rectangle because you're creating a rectangle image, and then you can put one column 1, which is the background. So you want one full background that's the same for everybody, and you define this background as the following. Then you put 1/2 and 1/2. So that means that you want to split it through the middle, and on the first half you put and, which is keyword that's going to tell Stable Diffusion that on the left side this is coming, and then you continue with another and that says now switch to the right side, and Stable Diffusion will combine those three parts, the background and the two characters, into the scene you're trying to create. Again, this takes a lot of iterations, a lot of sending to InPaint, but sometimes you get lucky and it works out right away. If it doesn't, you're just gonna have to try it a few times and you'll get something close enough to what you want, or sometimes even perfect. So once we solve both of those obstacles, we're gonna go through our story, what we want to create. Obviously, I made something extremely simple just to show you how it's done, and then you go one by one through the story until you reach the end of it. But if you want to create your base images in Midjourney, I would definitely recommend Christian at Tokenized AI, which is a YouTube channel where he focuses fully on Midjourney and on Midjourney prompting specifically. He's really good at it, and he has videos showing how you can prompt to get consistent characters in Midjourney, which you can either use to create directly your comic books, or you can bring into Stable Diffusion, where you can add more control to those images to have an output that's even more complex. As you saw earlier at the beginning of this video, we also added voice acting, which we also made in AI. If you remember from 2 videos ago, we talked about 11 Labs, which lets you put text and it translates it into voice, and you can obviously have different actors with different pitches. You can set up everything in settings. All these things I'm gonna leave linked in my description again, but what's even cooler, what you can make that's even better than that, is take it up a notch and make the actors speak. And you're going to see this at the end of the video. I'm gonna leave it for you to see. But what I did is I used all our images, loaded them into DID, which does the lip sync, and then I loaded for each one of the pictures, I loaded the text or the voice that I got from 11 Labs. So when she says, "Hey handsome," I wrote "Hey handsome" in 11 Labs, created using Bella, which is one of the voice actresses. I created the voice, I saved it, I sent it to DID, and then I had DID lip sync it for me. Just so I can make a sort of comic book movie out of it. And that's how you can do that as well, which is even cooler, I think. The possibilities are freaking great. You could do so many different things with this technology. And if you end up using any of these combinations to create something cool, please share it with me on Twitter, by email, or leave a comment on YouTube. I would love to see what you guys are making, because I'm freaking loving this technology. I'll see you around.
Hey, handsome.
Your purse. Now.
What? No! Help! You forgot to check for Uzis. Die, scum!
Bleeding to death.
Hasta la vista, baby.